everybody. We are taking a tiny field trip today. If you were with me last week when I went over the whole Michaels buys Joann's IP thing, I'm standing at Michaels right now, and the reason I'm standing at this particular Michaels, honestly, there's a pretty good reason. So if you watch the video, you know I went online and you can actually check and see which Michaels stores have fabric. Well, the one I'm standing in now, this is the North Point, Georgia one. This has the most fabric in the entire state of Georgia. It honestly looked like it had the most in the southeast. So we're gonna go check it out because fabric is my expertise. The cool thing about this is a lot of the fabric patterns they have, some of them I actually have at home. So we can do a little bit of price comparison between what the Joann's prices used to be and what they are now, because I still have my bolts. I know. Fabric hoarders, doing the thing right. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna go take a look at what they have. Most stores fabric wise that actually do have fabrics have somewhere between 250 to 800 supposedly fabric choices in them. This one supposedly has 1,400. I don't know that I believe that, and I also don't know if that includes things like notions and stuff, but let's go through the fabric aisles. I went through earlier a little bit, and I am kind of impressed. It's more than I thought it would be. But also, this one has more than most stores. The cutting counter is not impressive. You'll see when we get there. I do kind of expect in the next few months it's going to improve because they just made the announcement like a week-ish ago. So I can't imagine right after they announce everything's going to be just like Joann's. Not that this is ever going to be just like Joann's. This is a Michaels store. I do feel like people need to manage their expectations. Many of you are really pessimistic about the outcome of Michaels buying Joann's IP, which I totally understand. So I want to look later at why you're pessimistic, because this is not the first time they bought another company that's gone out of business as IP. But also I want to go in there because I'm a little bit more optimistic just because of that, even though it's not fantastic, but it makes me optimistic. For me personally, there's a useful amount of fabric in there. So let's go take a look. So my big thing with this is, where on earth are they actually going to put fabric? That's a really good question, because I mean, these aisles are totally full. We're just taking a direction. And in this store, the fabric is kind of at the back. But again, this is a store that has already carried lots and lots of craft supplies, all right? So this is the little tiny cutting table. It's not Joann's for sure. I want to pick an aisle without people on it too. So this is one of the aisles of novelty cotton. And this is why I say I was a little bit impressed, is because honestly, I didn't expect this much. Now, this bolt of fabric, $10 a yard on the bolt, right? $8.99. I know I own this bolt at home. Ooh, I found another one I know I own. So these purple stars right here are $4.99 a yard, and I have this similar one. It's $3.99 a yard. That's literally half of what my Joann's bolts originally cost. Because you know they would do sales all the time, but they would run sales because they would mark up the prices. So I had a lot of people say, oh, well, it's going to be more expensive. I don't know. To me, I'm not noticing that. So this is like basic Kona, $7.49. That's pretty normal, honestly, for Kona. This is a totally different aisle. They do have outdoor fabrics. These are the licensed fabrics. For me, licensed fabrics not actually useful. Outdoor fabrics, I use some of this. This is duck cloth, $5.99. Joann's was literally twice that. This is good stuff. This I will be purchasing today. They do have some fat quarters. They do have pillow inserts. Let's see. Notions are going to be down here, which again, this is not amazing, but honestly, it's not worse than Hobby Lobby, and it's not Hobby Lobby, straight up. If they're just starting out with this, that's not bad. You got heat and bond bias tape, quilting thread. There's a little bit of serger thread, but you know, some zippers. Again, it's not crazy. It feels like more of a start than a finished product, if that makes sense. So we're back to our quilting cotton. You've got some more stuff down this particular aisle that feels more like costuming fabric. The one thing I'm really missing, I mean, they have batting and stuff in with the polyfill, but they don't have batting and such by the yard. They have some of this tulle costuming fabric. They have a little bit of minky, a little bit of fake fur, Again, it's nothing crazy, but it feels like a start. And if you have ever been in a Hobby Lobby looking for fabric before, honestly, this is not a worse selection than a smaller Hobby Lobby, but that's in this one. And apparently this one has the largest selection in the entire state, and I believe in the entire Southeast. I don't know if that's going to change. I also don't know if like this is a test store because it's in a busier area. I have no idea. There was one of the busier Joann's, one of the ones that stayed open the later, was just down the road from here. So that may be why they chose to put this much fabric in this store. I know this store does have more than some of the others though. I did find the aisle with yarn. I don't know enough about yarn to actually speak to this one. So this is the same as it's been as far as I know. I've heard tell that they're getting big twists in a few weeks for some of the busier stores. So like I'm assuming this is one of those stores that will. And I know people were excited about that, but I can't really speak to that because I don't really know anything about that. They have a selection, but they've always had a selection. You know, like I don't know that this is any more than it used to be. And again, that is not my specialty. I really don't feel like I can speak to that one. The fabric I can speak to though. The fabric I buy a lot of, especially the novelty cotton, which is what we're about to leave with some of today. So let me go grab what I need and we'll check in again after we've gotten it cut. Press the button. This genuinely feels like an inappropriate table for the job that needs done, but rolling with it. We are rolling with it. Okay, I got my fabric cut. The employee did confirm they're getting a bigger cutting table, so that's just the one they have to start with, but she did a great job. Honestly, she did. I did want to go down this aisle really quick. So this would compare to like the Symphony broadcloth at Joann's, and price-wise, some of it's $1.99, some of it's $3.99, which honestly is comparable in price. So they have the Kona, which is the higher quality, more expensive stuff, but they do have the less expensive stuff as well. And if you're just looking for like a base level cotton to craft with or do like basic stuff with, that's the kind of thing I'd use on the back of my placemats because it needs to be a solid color, but it doesn't need to be the fanciest because it's going on the back of something. That's what you would use. That's a good price for that. I know I had a lot of people saying this was going to be a lot more expensive in Michael's. Honestly, so far it's not. They are advertising they're not taking coupons for this stuff. At least the coupon we checked on their website earlier didn't. But on the desk it says you don't need coupons because we have the best prices. So it seems like they're just not marking it up as much, which is fine. It made it so the duck cloth was half the price that it normally was at Joann's, and I didn't have to wait for a sale. I mean, $5.99 a yard for actual duck cloth. That's great. I'm okay with it, and they are supposed to be getting more in as they go. We're not going crazy there. I do think we need to wait a little bit to judge, and honestly, if you're near a store like I am that has it, please go support what fabric they do have, because I feel like the thing that's going to encourage them to actually continue stocking it in their stores is if we actually spend our money on it. At the end of the day, they're a store, we are in a capitalist society, and the only way to get people to do things sometimes is to throw money at the problem. So, you know, go throw money at it. We're gonna talk about a little later in the video how they have bought other intellectual property from other companies that went out of business and they didn't do anything with it. But now they're at this point where, you know, they bought this fabric store IP and there are no competing fabric stores. Again, Hobby Lobby doesn't really count. It's an everything store. It's not a fabric store. So I feel like we have a better chance this time of them actually doing something, and that's what we want. So we'll chat about the rest of this later when I get home, but I wanted to take you guys through and show you what they had that I was the most interested in. And honestly, I'm impressed so far. This is the biggest in the state of Georgia though, so if you're nearby, check it out. Also though, if you are wondering if your Michaels has fabric and how much, you can go on their website. They have a way to check. There is an actual button you can click on to see how much fabric your Michaels store has, so that you can maybe go to the store with the most in your area. Not every store has a lot. I have heard reports that some stores only have like not novelty cotton, they have the trademarked novelty cotton, which honestly that's not useful for all of us. Sorry Michaels, it's not. But I know a lot of people have said they have it, but they only have the trademark stuff. So your licensed characters, your Mickey Mouse, Bluey, Peppa Pig, Marvel, Disney, whatever. I don't personally sell that kind of thing because, you know, that's iffy on whether you're going to get trademark shut down on that. I don't do that, but go check it out. See if there's anything you might actually be able to use, because I feel like they'll continue to keep getting more of it in the more we actually spend money on it. Back at home in my own studio, and I found the 2 bolts of fabric that I just pulled out from the shelves at Michael's. So let's take a look. This one, $9.99. Remember, on the shelves of Michael's, this one said $10 on the dot. So that's a $1 price increase, but Michael's selling it for $8.99. Remember, they do say no coupons on fabric so far. And this bolt might tell you why. So this bolt is a little bit different. It was either $8.99 or $9.99 at Michael's to begin with. They were selling it on the shelf for $4.99. Here, it's $9.99. Same exact fabric they used to have at Joann's. I know. I bought this at Joann's. Heck. What's the selvage say? No, just Fabric Traditions. This wasn't a made for Joann's, but it is Fabric Traditions. So it's one of the brands that we're used to having. So for this one, $8.99. For this one, $4.99. They're both discounted. They're both also discounted compared to Joann's because these are just their base prices. Remember though, Michael said no coupons, which I guess they're doing no coupons because this one is basically 50% off the list price. My question here is, how long are they going to keep that pricing up? Because that's a pretty good discount. I mean, you figured Joann's something was always on sale and it would always be like all of the novelty cotton, all of the quilting cotton, all of the symphony you know what I mean? There was 30%, there was 40%. You'd get really excited when it was 60%. They would do that often enough. That's what got you in the store. Now, Michael's is approaching it differently. They're saying they have the best base price, which is great. If they're going to keep that up all the time, at least I know when I go in, I am actually getting a fair price for the thing that I buy, and I'm not being upcharged as much as they possibly can. $4.99 a yard, that's cool with me, especially for that quality of cotton. This is also as a person who uses these novelty cottons to line my inventory with them. I put it on the back of my inventory. So for me, these are not featured. What is featured for me are my coloring fabrics. I'm the artist that designs these fabrics over here. So when I make a project, when I sew something, I want my artwork to shine. This just kind of sets it off. And so the space fabric you just saw would go with my own space fabric. So they coordinate together. That's what I want to do with it. I don't want to pay top dollar for something that's going on the inside of a bag. You know, I want something quality. I want something fun. I want something top dollar. So to me, that's a really good price. I heard a lot of people critiquing, as I mentioned before, that Michael's was going to be more expensive. I was really confused as to why they assumed that. And I think that was just an assumption. I don't really think it was an assumption based on anything. I think they were just mad at Michael's in general, which I get. So let's get into why they might be mad at Michael's. Now, did you know that Michael's, this is not the first time that they've purchased somebody else's IP, especially not another craft store that's gone out of business. The big one for me when it went out of business, and this was a long time ago. I'll hold on to this grudge for a very long time. Do you guys remember Hancock Fabrics? Fortunately for me in my sewing journey, there wasn't actually a Hancock in my town, but there was one like in the next town over, so it wasn't hard to get to. But I liked going there, especially when I had to do costuming and stuff, because they were a straight up fabric store, all right? They were more like a Joann's. They were even more of a Joann's than Joann's because while they had some of the other little bits and pieces, you know, like the gifty stuff that you have to sell as any business to make sure you're paying overhead and everything, they were literally very fabric focused. That's what they did. So they went out of business in 2016. So Michael's bought out all of the remaining stores for $1.3 million, I believe. Hancock Fabric, which we all loved, goes under. Michael purchases them and their IP, and do you know what Michael's does with them? Yeah, you do, because you don't remember Hancock Fabrics being in any Michael's stores, do you? There's no Hancocks around still at all, because Michael's did literally nothing with it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, again, in 2019, now AC Moore, there was no store near me. I do not remember them, but in 2019, AC Moore also declared bankruptcy and goes under. Michael's purchases their entire IP. Now, AC Moore was a craft store, more like a Michael's store was. AC Moore is bought out by Michael's, the remainder of the company. You want to guess what Michael's does in 2019 with AC Moore? Did you figure it out already? Absolutely nothing. So I completely understand why people are really skeptical right now that Michael's is going to do anything with Joann's IP, because that is their history. They have a history of doing literally nothing with these things that they purchase. Now let's pause this video again. We're gonna take a little field trip to another Michael's store currently because I have to go to my parents and there is one on the way. So let's stop and see what they have. Remember, the North Point Mall one we went to at the beginning had 1,400. I believe this one has 850. 50 selection. If you go on Michael's website under the fabric section, you can actually see how many different options theoretically that your Michael's store has. Some Michael's stores have hundreds, some have like 50, and these are options for fabric. I don't know what that means. I don't know if they're different types of fabric. I don't know if that means they're just having 50 prints with Mickey Mouse on them. So that's why I kind of want to compare stores. So let's head over to this store and I'll check back in with you at the end. Surprise additional trip. I ended up at the Michael's in a different city. So we're gonna go check out their fabric selection just to compare, because we've been to the one with the biggest amount, so this one has less. So we'll go see. Hey, found it. So, I mean, honestly, what they have is pretty well stocked. It's definitely less than the other store, but we knew the other store had the most, so none of this is all that surprising. This is the main aisle. Looks like they've got a little bit of minky here. They've got zippers and some notions, Velcro. They actually have more notions than the other store, but from what the other store said, they weren't really sure what they would be getting and like when. So I feel like this is kind of unsurprising. Their selection of scissors is definitely significantly better, so that's cool. It's also possible that they've gotten stuff in that the other store just hadn't when I went in, because I did that about a week ago. Oh, there's more. This is all licensed fabric, so again, falls under the category of stuff that's not useful to me, but some people like it. Tons of polyfill, outdoor fabrics. So, I mean, I've said it already, it's not a million things, but it's something. It exists. And from what they've been saying, they're theoretically getting in more. I mean, the store even has a small selection of sewing machines back here. The yarn. Honestly, I have no idea what to say about this. Basically, I have no clue, given this is not a thing that I use on a regular basis. But supposedly they're getting more in. So we'll see. Definitely keep your eyes out. I'm very curious to hear from a needle crafter's perspective. Like, is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Because the fabric is definitely getting better. Baby steps are a thing. So I'm gonna go grab the thing that I came to pick up and head on home, but I wanted to video just for sheer curiosity's sake. Honestly, that was a fair chunk of fabric. I'm not disappointed by that selection, and that was a store with less fabric in it than the first one I went to. It sounds very much, when you talk to employees, like they're going to be putting more in the stores. The other thing I have been noticing in the past few weeks, because you will have noticed I meant to publish this video several weeks ago, and I'm kind of glad I didn't, because the one thing that has been happening over the past few weeks that hadn't happened when I visited that North Point Mall store is Joann Fabrics seems to be back from the dead. And I don't mean she's really back from the dead, but I'm getting emails from Joann Fabrics. Are you? Those emails are saying, hey, go visit a Michael's store. Here are some coupons to incentivize you to visit a Michael's store. Hey, this is Joann's. We would love you to visit our friend Michael's Arts and Crafts. That's a thing that they're really pushing. The other thing I discovered as I was looking into the AC Moore thing is if you Google Michael's and AC Moore at the same time, you want to know what pops up? A landing page just like pops up when you Google Michael's and Joann's, because they made a specific landing page for Joann's customers who were visiting Michael's looking for things like fabric. They did that back in 2019. It's 2025 right now. They didn't really do anything with the AC Moore acquisition. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but they didn't do anything with the AC Moore acquisition except for, it looks like, make a landing page on their website. In that sense, I'm really thankful that, you know, they're actually actively getting product in the store right now, and those emails that we're getting from Joann that we all know really isn't Joann because she is defunct, dead, gone. It feels like a heartwarming moment. You're like, oh, Joann, I've missed you. So she's not really back, but Michael's is definitely trying, and this is terrible and capitalistic and everything else, but I said it before in the video, I'll say it again. If you want to see more fabric in your stores, honestly, we have to buy fabric from them. That's how companies tend to respond. That's how I respond as a small business owner, a significantly smaller business owner than a Michael's store, right? Like, if people like this one thing, I make more of it. So if you want to see fabric, if you want to see yarn, if you've got the option to go visit a store in your area, go see what they have. And if there's something that you need or that you like, go buy it. Please don't go buy stuff for the sake of buying stuff. That's silly. But like I did with my duck cloth, with some of my novelty cotton, I found it there. It's something that I've used in the past that I know I like, that I know I need. So I purchased it there. And honestly, I'm going to do that in the future for the stuff that I can, because I like having that option. I like having a more affordable fabric store around. I know a lot of people are going to say, hey, well, we've got a local quilt store in my area. First of all, not everybody has a local quilt store in their area. I don't, okay? There is not one in my town. There's not one in the next town over. I have to go pretty far to go to a smaller quilt shop. The other thing is quilting stores are more specialty stores. They're going to have really nice higher end stuff. And because they're going to be smaller stores, they're not going to be able to offer those discounts. So when I go to a quilt store, I'm going to buy specifically quilting stuff for projects for me. I'm not going to buy bulk fabric or fun novelty stuff that I just want to turn into product like I do with Joann's novelty cotton, now Michael's novelty cotton. That's a different thing because it's a different price point. And I want small quilt stores to stay in business, absolutely. That's why I do try to support those where I can, because they're really important. Smaller quilting stores are where you can take things like sewing classes that are so important. They have specialized knowledge at those quilt stores because that's what they do, and the employees that work there probably sew just like you do, versus at a larger craft store, you don't get that specialty. So definitely go to your local quilt store if that's an option. But if you're also like me that can't use that as an option all of the time for what you're doing because financially it doesn't make sense, or distance-wise you just can't make it happen, don't feel bad about yourself. Do what you can where you can. We're not all millionaires here. Thank you all so much for sticking around. Please give me a subscribe if you enjoyed this video so you can hang around for more craft show content, crafting, sewing content, I don't know, maybe a little coloring because that's what I do for a living. It's been great hanging out. Bye!